Hey everybody, great to have you with me today. By request, I wanted to share some of my favorite fall palettes. And I think this is the kind of list that probably evolves every season or every time fall rolls around. The grouping of products might be different because I really don't just have a few palettes that I say, these are the best few for fall always. It ebbs and flows, it changes. My perception of what I think is nice for fall might change year to year. But I'm not just focusing on what's brand new and coming out now, but really looking through what I've got and pulling out things that have been there for quite some time. So we've got a lot of rediscovered picks here. We've got some drugstore, some high-end, and even if you don't have the exact palettes I'm talking about, maybe just seeing certain ones will spur you to get some new ideas about how you want to go about your eye makeup this season. One thing I will say, I really do like the warm, toasty colors this time of year especially. I mean, there's really not a time of year that I don't like a good warm eye look. I like the cool looks as well, but I'm just giving you a little warning here. I think a lot of these palettes have quite a bit of warmth in them, some more than others, but it's an overarching thing that I just love in fall eye looks. I'm going to start out by talking about what I used today, which is definitely a rediscovered palette. Can anybody tell just by looking at my eyes what palette I might have used? This is the Gemini palette from Melt, and I think this is a great palette as we transition from the greens of summer into these toasty shades of fall. Just thinking about the leaves, I mean, I'm outside a lot, love going on walks. I love seeing the changes in the colors of the leaves, and this is precisely what's happening with my cottonwood trees right now. You know, they were green, now we're getting into this kind of brownish, sometimes semi-golden state, but I think what's really special about this palette is that these shades like work so well into these, the particular tones that have been chosen in here. Like there's some really interesting things happening, not just giving you brown and green, but these kind of like mustardy, kind of unusual olive type tones, a couple of bold shimmers here, but outside of that it's a lot of matte, and those mattes, that really nice pigmented matte formula, it just blends really well into itself, whether you're focusing on these tones or wanting to bring in something here. So with my look today, I really focused on like this in the crease, maybe starting to get a little bit of this shade in the outer corner. And I also put that even on the inner lid as well, and just wanted to pop something even brighter on the center of the lid, which was this color right here, our green shimmer. So I used all those kind of warmish browns in the whole surrounding of this look and let the green be the pop today. I've also done some pretty green looks where, you know, I just stuck to that color scheme and that alone, and that was really beautiful. You've also got a super rich black right in the center, and that can be eyeliner, that can be just an even deeper, rich outer corner, or whatever you want it to be. But I just thought, you know, I haven't used that palette nearly enough, and what a perfect time of year to pull it out again. Here's another palette that was really going hard about a year ago, and I want to bring it back certainly into my routine. It's the Naked Honey palette from Urban Decay. I really enjoyed this one. I've got a full video on it if you want more info, but you know, this is all things gold here. They've got multiple takes on gold and even a little bit of copper there. A lot of really nice supporting shades to create the full look. You can get a lot of richness and depth out of this color here, and these lighter tones are very useful in setting up your crease or whatever you want to do. I just think it's a very user-friendly palette. The brush in here is actually great too, and you can create an entire eye look just using that brush, which I believe I did in the original review video of this. But if you looked at the Melt palette and thought, yeah, I like that, but I'm not so into green, here is like, you know, pure gold, or accent colors can be really bright and shiny and gold, but you've got everything that's needed to go with that and anchor it and really root the look. So I love that palette, and I want to get more use out of it right now. Here's one that's gone underused by me for a long, long time. Let me know if this is a big favorite of yours. It's the Tartlette Toasted palette. And all these Tartlette palettes are really nice quality. Like the shadows are super buttery in there. There's a nice smell. really nice kind of vanilla-ish smell to them. And I see, you know, a lot of kind of peachy toastiness happening. Instead of really just gold, I'm seeing some shades that really take us into a warm, peachy, a little bit of a darker terracotta kind of place. It's a nice neutral palette, but with a lot of warmth. I want to hold it up next to Naked Honey so you can see them both. I would say Tartlette Toasted probably resembles Urban Decay's Naked Heat a little bit more, which if we're talking about Naked Heat, which I didn't pull out, I'd say you're better off getting the Rimmel Spice Edition. Rimmel Spice Edition, it's got a little bit of plum in there. It's got some really pretty reddish shades. This one, honestly, a great fall palette as well. Bonus pick here, but if you're thinking about Naked Heat, I think this is even better than Urban Decay's Naked Heat. But anyway, this has some of those similar things. It doesn't really have the plum, although Fireside, you know, that shade might have just a hint of plum in it. It's a really dark brown. That shade's got a beautiful richness to it, but I want to use this one more, and I feel, you know, it's kind of different from this in that it doesn't go to that really yellowish golden place with the tones. It stays a little more in that peachy, orangey toastiness. Here's another one that I dug out, my Huda Beauty nude palettes. I really kind of like all these different nude palettes. I think they're pretty in their own ways, but the rich one was kind of a favorite of mine because I loved how berry it was, and I also liked how it wasn't just strictly one monochromatic tone of berry, but you've got like the darkest plum ever, sort of a rosy shade here, a brownish color too that things can come back to, kind of a warm brown actually, and then your shimmery pops also all over the place, you know, from rose to what we call this kind of like a golden soft rose gold, an absolute ruby shade that's super intense in there. Here also a dusty plum color, and you glance at it and you think, oh, there's a berry palette, but you really look at each individual shade and you see every shade in this small 9-color palette has something to offer, something unique to offer to the look. So this is something I really want to play with some more. I love a good berry look. That's another thing that makes me really feel like we're in the fall season. Now, everything I've mentioned so far, from the Melt palette to Naked Honey to the Toasted palette and also this Huda one, you know, they all kind of stay in their lane. Their color schemes are not really bouncing around a whole lot, but if you feel like, you know, I want that richness of color, but I want more variety. Here's one that I love. It's from Viseart. It's called the Dark Edit. This palette is just an absolute playground of rich fall tones. So you get that splash of purple in there, you get copper, you get bright gold, you've got the murky kind of greens, or even, you know, more of a turquoise actual green that might be a fun, unexpected twist in some of your looks where you do bring in the darker tones as well. You've got a really dark, rich navy. The oranges, this warm depth in the top row is so nice and such a nice backdrop to any of these other shades. I just think this is a really impressive palette. The pigmentation is very much what you see is what you get. The rich shades can be nice smudgy liners. They can just kind of take these brighter tones and pull them down and overlap with them and make everything so, so beautiful. So if you're looking at what I've talked about, say, yeah, you know, I got golds, I got bronze, I got terracotta or whatever. Here, it's just such a fun mixture of different tones. And you'll notice, you know, the shades in these edit palettes are not huge. You're not getting a ton of all these shades, but yet do you even need a ton of them? They're so pigmented. They're so, a little bit goes a long way. And as you can probably gather here, your top 2 rows are going to be all matte. Everything is shimmer right here. Love the size though of these edit palettes. I think that's a great decision by Viseart to make those. Moving on, we've got some more palettes that are a little more like bouncing all over the place. This one from Revolution, this is their Reloaded Division palette. This would be their take on the ABH Subculture palette. So we've got greens, we've got, I mean, it just looks so cohesive to me, but when you really start thinking about it, the colors are bouncing around kind of a lot because we've got cool, we've got, you know, a warm peach, we've got a dusty plum, we've got various takes on green, the honey mustard kinds of colors, like I call them, way more matte than shimmer in here. here, but it gives me a real fall vibe. When I look out the window, these are the kinds of things I'm seeing in nature right now, and I love a good nature-inspired look, so I really wanted to pull that out. That's been very underused by me. I think I've used Subculture more, but not really played as much with that more affordable take on it. Speaking of more affordable takes on ABH palettes, I also got out this Rosé in the Air palette from Wet n Wild, and this would be, you know, your modern Renaissance dupe type look, but this feels very fall to me as well. This is capable of going in a direction unlike any of the other things that I've mentioned so far. Even the Nude Rich palette from Huda, like I hold these up side by side, and you know, this has that little splash of pink, but this is kind of going in a little bit deeper direction. I just like what's happening in here. I like that overall color scheme. It is easy to glance at this one and say, oh, it's warm, but yet I also see a decent amount of coolish balance in there. You know, you got this kind of dusty light lilac, which is sort of fun, and some cool brown, cool light brown here to work with too. So that was another one that I just thought might be fun to pull out this time of year. Ooh, something that kind of gives me the sunset eye feel. This is the e.l.f. Mad for Matte 2 palette. I think this one is so pretty, and the textures are really quite nice. I feel like e.l.f.'s bite-sized palettes and then also their larger palettes seem to get a little more attention these days. This would be kind of like the older model, but I do like this formula a lot. I think these colors are super smooth. I love how approachable it feels, you know, and I like that there's plum in there. That's a plum that's really going to show for you and look really beautiful as it layers up with maybe the peach or, you know, these soft, just gentle browns here. And then you've got these tones that really can be quite rich, that rich dusty rose. We've got a great kind of deepened yellowish brown in there too, plus also a dark, very neutral brown and a black. Really pretty option for my all matte lovers, plus very affordable. And then I should probably mention the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette, which I do have a full review on. I compared it to some other things, so I would say watch that video, see if you have any of the things I'm comparing it to, note the differences that I'm pointing out, because I do look at this and I see like a lot of overlap with some certain things, but still I do like the palette. I do like some of the things that make it unique, which I would say these two shades in here are kind of really special to this palette. I like this dark shade. It's purple with a ton of blue infused, and it really makes me think, if you put together a look and you've got some of this happening in it, that does make me think of the sunset sky. There is an element of coolness in there. It's not just, you know, fire in the air. You've got something like this happening out there too. I really do like that yellowish shade. There are pastel shimmery pops in here that make it a bit more unexpected than just, you know, bronzes and golds mixing in. So it's kind of a fun palette. It's definitely a lot more random in the color selection compared to some of the other things I've mentioned. Oh, and I did want to mention this one too. This is the Little Ray of Sunshine palette from Colorpop. I absolutely love the sunflower theme. Why has there not been a sunflower themed palette till now? But again, for the all matte lovers, but this one really focusing in on yellow. If you don't like yellow in your eyeshadow looks, maybe steer clear because it's a prominent focus of this palette. You've got what I would call your pure hot dog mustard, you got honey mustard, you got a little Dijon going in there. It's just every kind of mustard. Plus you've got dark brown, a nice little rosy shade in here too. A few cool options just to mix in with everything, help blend it out, help perfect the look, but I like that palette a lot. I should have mentioned that when I was more in the monochromatic phase of this video, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this gives you a few ideas. Maybe if you don't have these exact palettes, it just prompts you a little bit in your mind to think of some different color schemes that you might enjoy for the season ahead. So thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you again soon. Bye.